What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome to more C4. This one sucks a little bit. I mean, it doesn't suck a lot. If this was a loss with Jalen Hurts in the lineup, I definitely would be a little bit different of a mood. I was happy that the game was exciting. I'm happy that game was fun. I think it's just one of those things, man. Like there's no Eagles aren't coming out of this game unless Lane Johnson's injury is significant. It's just one of those, like, it is what it is. What are you gonna say? We had our backup quarterback in. There was brutal errors. We didn't play particularly well, and like it went down to the last play against this big, bad Dallas team. Even though, like, credit to Dak, man. Dak hung in there with Gardner Minshew. 355 yards, 2 touchdowns for Minshew, 350, 3 touchdowns for Dak. Dak did have a pick six. Like, just describing the turnovers. Like, you need to know the context if you didn't watch this game. Dak's interception, he threw it right to Josh Sweat, and Josh Sweat pick-sixed it. Gardner Minshew's 2 interceptions were completed passes to Quez Watkins, where Quez had it in his hands. He was fighting with the DB as the ball went to the ground, and the Cowboys DB came out with the ball. Like, I would argue that those shouldn't be interceptions. Those should be fumbles. That is fully on Quez. Quez needs to just bulk up. It sucks that he's 110 pounds soaking wet. Between him and Devontae Smith, him and Devontae Smith combined, you put them together, is like one A.J. Brown. And then, like, Minshew had we had 2 fumbles with the running backs. One was straight up like a handoff bot. Like, just so many mistakes for the Philadelphia Eagles in a game where you already knew your back was against the wall with Gardner Minshew in the lineup, right? And then you have all those mistakes, the same amount of mistakes that we had against the Commanders. And, Dallas, while we like to clown on Dallas, they are a team that if you make that many mistakes, especially, like, it almost felt like they're unforced mistakes, they'll punish you. And then you had the 3rd and 30 conversion, which that's full credit to Dak. That was a good play from the Dallas Cowboys, hitting T.Y. Hilton 52 yards. You need 3rd and 30, and you get 52. That's definitely a defining moment. I thought Dak Prescott did a great job picking on our backups. Anytime a reserve came in, it was Josiah Scott came in for Avonte Maddox. Avonte Maddox hurt himself after he sacked Dak Prescott, and it literally just felt like they picked on Josiah Scott, like, when they could. They force-fed CeeDee Lamb in the slot. Don't blame them. Absolutely don't blame them. When they could pick on our safeties, which are the weak link right now of our defense. Epps and Reed Blankenship. They would pick on our safeties. So I thought it was a lot of, generally, after that pick six, smart play from Dak Prescott. And full kudos to him, man. He kept up. The Dallas Cowboys, $100 million quarterback, kept up with Gardner Minshew, and they got the win. Not to use, and I won't. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to use this as any form of they only won because we had our backup quarterback in. I'm not going to be like the Cowboys fans in that first game where Philly beat Dallas with Cooper Rush under center. I will say that this game with Jalen Hurts under center was a must-win for the Philadelphia Eagles. This was get the first seed. Last couple games, doesn't matter. Almost prioritize player health over anything. Kick your feet up. If Jalen Hurts was under center, this was a must-win. Gardner Minshew coming in kind of made it like, hopefully we win. Let's see. Hopefully we look good. Hopefully we win. But it's going to be tough with a backup quarterback. This game was always a must-win for Dallas, and it kind of played itself out that way, man. There was like no real bad reffing calls. It was mistakes from the Philadelphia Eagles, self-inflicted mistakes from the Philadelphia Eagles that allowed Dallas to get 40 points on the board. And that being said, you still got to kind of feel okay coming out of this game as a Philadelphia Eagle fan, because it wasn't like Dallas imposed their will on us through 4th quarters. This was a game, when you look back and you look at the deciding, full credit to Dallas on the 3rd and 30, but there was a lot of, like, this was Philly's self-inflicting wounds that kept this game close, that let Dallas back in and win it. And when it's stuff like that, that's correctable. It's like the Commanders game, right? I'm not saying that no one's beat Philadelphia all year, but they have 2 losses, and they have 8 turnovers in those 2 losses. And how many of those turnovers were the opposing team's defense making a great play versus it was Philadelphia with a botch job? And it's almost like one of those things where, like, I don't know which one I would want. I feel like if it was 8, we had 8 turnovers in our 2 losses, and they were like almost all incredible interceptions or incredible hustle plays by the opposing team defense, it might be easier to accept that as like, fuck, man, these guys are pros too, man. They can make plays. But the fact that, like, so many of the Eagles' turnovers in these games have been self-inflicted maybe makes it sting more. But we'll throw some grades out here. It's, again, for me, if Jalen Hurts was in and we lost this one 34-40, I'd be pissed off. Like, I'd be cranky first thing. It'd take a little bit. I'd probably have to at least, like, have my energy drink tomorrow and catch my bearings before we do gifts so that I can be like, all right, it's Christmas. Let's go. Minshew in it. He made it a fun game. It is what it is. We're on to next week. Hopefully Jalen Hurts is back. We need one more win. We got, what, 3 games left? One more win. That's all we need. One win against any of our next 3 games. We get the first seed. So, still plenty of work to be done. I would say I feel like Minshew against the Saints. I don't think I would rush Jalen Hurts back. Like, if it's still not like he's 90% good, I think with what we saw today with Minshew, he'll be more comfortable, right? We had more than enough to beat the Dallas Cowboys. We could more than enough to beat the Saints next week with Gardner Minshew under center, right? So, but throwing out some grades here. Gardner Minshew, as much as it's not going to show up, he did have those 2 picks were not his fault. He did have at least one that was definitely a drop pick by Anthony Barr, which he got kind of bailed out on. Wasn't the best game from Gardner Minshew. He also made some tough throws. He's a backup quarterback. Probably could start for a couple teams, but he's still generally a backup quarterback. I thought he did an admirable job. I'd do like a B, solid B, closer to a B plus than it is a B minus. Made a couple great throws. Had some good chemistry. Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown get it going. I thought there was a little too much Quez Watkins. And again, I like Quez. Quez is a goddamn meme on the main channel. But Quez Watkins had more targets than Dallas Goedert did. You cannot have that. I would have liked a lot more Dallas Goedert here today. Averaged 22 yards of reception. He was kind of abusing the safeties and linebackers on all those plays. One of those was actually a disgusting run after the catch. So I just felt maybe a little too much Quez, maybe a little more into your playmakers. I feel like it's a double-edged sword, because sometimes when you have your backup quarterback in, they want to go to the guys they've been working with the most, which is usually isn't the starters. They feel more comfortable, like, Zach Pascal and Quez, guys like that, a little bit further down the depth chart, which makes sense. But I also feel like if you're a backup quarterback and you got the weapons that the Philadelphia Eagles have, like, the ball should only go to their weapons. Unfortunately, Boston Scott, like, he botched a fumble. That's like one of those ones where it's like, in a game like this, just keep your best players out there. And I mean, that Miles Sanders also had a fumble, but it's like anytime, 2 interceptions on Quez, a fumble on Boston Scott. I feel like anytime you're down to your backup quarterback, just force feed. That's a week that your star players are going to have to carry the load. They're going to have to be your horses, and that's going to be your stable. That's going to bring you across the finish line. Force feed your stars. I felt like the mistakes, I don't think it was coincidence that the mistakes happened with the non-star players. But I'll give Minshew a B, and I would say that if Jalen Hurts isn't playing against New Orleans, should still be like this game. We were still optimistic, right? I will say full disclosure, on one of my betting sites, they had a special boost, boosted odds. It was Dallas wins and a Zeke Elliott touchdown. I was like, that could be a nice silver lining for C4. I was like, all right, Dallas wins, Zeke's gonna have a touchdown. Actually hit on that. Got some decent scratch. But I still went into this game being like, you know what? With Gardner Minshew, Philly can win. And he kept it close. It was down to the last throw of the game. I think same should be considered next week against the New Orleans Saints. Running the ball, Miles Sanders, 65 yards. Had a couple good runs. Can't have that fumble, man. Inexcusable fumble. It was just a dead play. Got, pushed back. No, nothing on the offensive line worked. I don't know. Was it Micah Parsons that actually got the fumble? Micah Parsons kind of shut shit down. That was really his only play. I think outstanding job from Jordan Mailata. Micah Parsons was an absolute ghost. It felt like anytime he got pressure, Gardner Minshew read the pressure, absorbed that pressure pretty well. But that was where he definitely flashed a little bit. That was on Miles Sanders, so I'm going to give the running backs here. They're getting a C minus. Miles had a couple good runs in there, but that fumble's inexcusable. Can't have that, man. Especially, again, you can't go into a game. You don't have to play a perfect game with Gardner Minshew. I don't think we got to show enough respect to Gardner Minshew that you don't have to play a perfect game for him to win. But almost equate it to like what Brock Purdy's doing with the 49ers. I don't think really there's a big talent difference between them, but the Niners are winning because they're not making mistakes. They're just like, hey, let your quarterback. If Gardner Minshew didn't make any mistakes, which, I mean, again, you shade those 2 picks that weren't really on him. This scoreline's different, but you can't have your non-MVP candidate quarterback in there and make the mistakes the Philadelphia Eagles had. So that's a big knock on Miles Sanders. Receivers were ridiculous. Devontae Smith, 8 catches, 113 yards, 2 touchdowns. I believe he's over 1,000 on the year. Philly has 2,000. Could be wrong. I thought he said he only needed 90. But Devontae Smith, ridiculous. I'm going to say something that might be a little bit of a hot take. I would I would give, someone said C4 ranked the wide receivers in the NFC East. Obviously, there's going to be bias there. Trying to think an unbiased. I think off of this year, you would go A.J. Brown 1. I don't know if I would say firmly, but I would go A.J. Brown 1, Scary Terry 2, and then a little bit of a gap. Like, I think those are the top two guys. I think Scary Terry, if he had a better quarterback, maybe he would be right there. Maybe he'd be slightly ahead of A.J. Brown. But I think as it stands right now, A.J. Brown 1, Scary Terry 2, and then it goes, who do you like, Devontae or CeeDee Lamb? CeeDee Lamb had a big game. But I think you have to put Devontae over CeeDee Lamb. You might not even have to go a full point. This might have to be a 3A, 3B. But that 3A got to be Devontae Smith because he plays on the outside. CeeDee Lamb primarily lines up in the slot. It works. I'm not going to knock him. But there's a different, outside wide receiver is a different kind of beast. It's more difficult. It's harder to get yours when you're on the outside. CeeDee Lamb is going where he's the most successful, where it's the easiest to get him the football. You have someone like Devontae Smith, more challenging on the outside. You got to value the outside wide receiver more. So I'm not, I wanted CeeDee Lamb on the Philadelphia Eagles so bad. He's an awesome player. But I think if you're talking who's better right now, the two guys that kind of stole the show here, I think you got to give the edge. It could be, I don't even think this is biased. You got to give the edge to Devontae because he plays on the outside. A.J. Brown over 100 yards as well. Dallas Goedert 67 yards. Looked lively in his return from injury. Would have liked to see a lot more for Dallas Goedert, but I thought the receivers did a great job. Gainwell had a couple nice plays as well. But I can't give the whole group a good score because our boy Quez, and again, say negative things. I love Quez. I think he's a great role player for this team, but he definitely 2 picks on him. 100% on Quez Watkins. I'm gonna have to give the room his whole B+, and the only reason why is just because you got to knock Quez Watkins there a little bit. Defense, you give up 40 points. It's not good enough. I thought the pass rush was solid. Josh Sweat, sack and a half. We had 2 sacks of Hassan Riddick, sack from Avonte Maddox, who then hurt his toe or something like that. I thought Edwards was fine. I thought Reed Blankenship was fine. I think Epps got picked on a little bit in coverage. I think Kaiser White got picked on in the run game. But a lot of times they were running his side. He struggled getting off blocks a lot. And, obviously Josiah Scott came in for the injured Avonte Maddox, and they just abused him. They absolutely just beat him like a drum. Sucked. Jordan Davis left the game. I think his concussion or something like that. He got popped. It was friendly fire. But, defense, C+ maybe for the pass rush. The pass rush was on point. The D-line played well enough. But that secondary was, Slay did not have a particularly good game. Again, that 3rd and 30. I think ultimately, over top was Josiah Scott's responsibility. So I think I more so on him, but that's still Slay. Slay, 3rd and 30. It was his side of the field. You can't let that happen. He also had a pass interference that extended a drive. There's just fucking mistakes, man. And you know what? Credit goes to Dallas on that front. Outside of the pick 6, Dallas did not make a whole lot of mistakes. They were the smarter team. Is expected when you have your franchise quarterback in that the offense as a whole is gonna operate and function a little bit better than Gardner Minshew, literally anytime you look at Gardner Minshew, he looks like he's as lit as I'm about to be in 25 minutes here. But it is what it is, man. I think the way that this was a fun game from a either fan. I feel like either way. I think Dallas obviously would be upset if they lost this game a lot because this, you would look at this without Jalen Hurts in the lineup. Dallas, you're like, this is a must win. And I feel like that's how, as an Eagle fan, you can kind of be like, brush your shoulders off. We're on to the next one because, we had Minshew. This went from a must win with Jalen Hurts to I hope we can win. We got a shot versus this was a must win for the Dallas Cowboys. They needed this win to try and stay alive in the NFC East. They needed this win for the playoffs and positioning. So, it is what it is, man. Way too many turnovers on a different day with our backup quarterback. We could have stomped the Dallas Cowboys. But all those mistakes, Dallas did not make mistakes. Full kudos to them for doing that. And Dak Prescott hanging with Gardner Minshew to the very end. On to the next one, man. So, that's it. I don't know. Everyone have a good Christmas. I'm fine. We're good. Made a couple bucks. Stuff to, maybe get a last-second Nintendo game for my kid off of Dallas getting the win here. And hopefully, Philly, the only way this all sucks is that if this somehow starts to snowball, Philly can't win, and we don't clinch the first round. But I think we've done enough to clinch the first round. And, it would be fun. I do think, even though the chaos, even though it'd be a loss potentially for either fan base that neither could let down. If somehow Dallas doesn't botch it and doesn't go one and done in the playoffs, I think an Eagles Cowboys like divisional round matchup, NFC Championship game. The idea of like how hype you'd be if your team win that. And I think I speak for a Dallas Cowboy fan. It's almost like, why not, man? Let's let that roll. If that can happen, that'd be pretty damn cool. But then I think if Philly gets the first round, I think what would happen, Dallas would have to play the Niners at some point, I think, right? That would not be, I think that'd be a really tough game for Dallas. But then again, you got Brock Purdy. Who knows? But until next time, until we play Dallas the next time, split it 1-1, both backup quarterbacks in. Hopefully we can run it back with both starters. And I think you just look at this game. If Jalen's in that game, man, who knows what the score was. But that'll do for me today, guys. Hope all you guys have a very, very Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. And I will see you guys back here on the next one. Thank you very much for watching. First time stopping by, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and comment. I don't know, Eagles fans, how you feeling after this game? Peace out. I'm going to have some fun.